How are you?
Good, thanks, you.
Thank you for being back again one more time. Red Wall
Yay.
Podcast. By the way, we got some people in the house today. We got some audience. They better be quiet today, yeah? So we are in December right now.
We are.
It's
Christmas time.
5th November 2020. So it's like 5 years ago. Boris Johnson was doing an announcement about the second lockdown in London. What do you remember about it?
About the second one, not a lot, to be honest.
What about the first one, maybe?
The first one was weird. It's very strange. I don't think any of us was expecting anything like that. As we've said the time before, we've always worked in hospitality. And so I was really not sure. I couldn't picture everything being closed and, like people not going around and stuff like that. And so for a few weeks we were home. And then everything continued as normal, which I think helped a lot in many ways. But it was difficult for a lot of my friends. A lot of people that I know really struggled with it because they were either home for a long time, or they were not able to keep the job that they had. So it's really tough for many people. For myself, it was okay. Like I was able to keep some sort of normality or like a routine. I would still go to work. I would still cycle back and forth. I was able to go out.
There's something that you say, like, when in my mind I had like something like apocalyptic like picture, like no one is gonna like pay us anymore. We were like stuck in a house, no food, and every time that you were trying to leave to do some shopping, someone was like ready for some knife and guns.
You're very dramatic.
I was, because you know what, I wasn't even on my own, so I was like
Yeah.
overthinking about it.
Yeah.
Even though I think that I'm the only person that I know so far who was like losing weight like week by week. Because even though when I was preparing my food, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do half now for lunch and half now for dinner, because I didn't know how it would last.
Yeah, of course.
Because you know what, even though you were like studying at school, there was never like a chance to face something like, oh, okay, there is a lockdown for I don't know how many months, week, or maybe years.
Yeah.
So it was something weird. For someone maybe like me, I was like so dramatic. So that's why I was
so
like,
intense. Yeah. I think I tend to minimize like catastrophes normally. I always think like, oh, it's gonna end at some point. Like I never go for the worst case scenario. But also, as I said, probably because I was still able to keep a routine and then go out and go to work, and like it didn't really impact me that much. But I know people that were close to me that were home for like nearly a year.
wow.
And that nearly drove them crazy, like it's very different from what you're used to, and I'm sure nothing that anyone expected to happen in
Which
that
is
way.
something that didn't happen to me because I was working at a coffee shop as well, and after a month and a half, I was the only one. One of the few stores who was providing like the delivery of services. So they were asking us to join the team and start opening again the shop. So I remember complaining, okay, I'm happy that I'm restarting my routine. I remember like taking the bus. I was the only one on the bus.
Of course.
And I was like, it's unfair from some other side because some other like colleagues and managers like stay at home, get paid. And I was just not risking my life because I wasn't. I was like, oh, I'm going to work. They're just home doing nothing, but get it paid. It was unfair to me.
Yes, but I guess it depends on your personality as well. Like if you're someone that enjoys staying at home and like not having much to do, you will appreciate that. But if you're used to always do something, always see people, or like be busy and like be active, like I think you would really struggle after a little bit. Like I do agree in some ways. Like probably in hindsight, I would probably say, oh, maybe I could have stayed a couple more weeks, or like I could have started a new hobby, or like I remember back in the days.
Which you do, I think.
Yeah. But also like I started looking for like free courses on the university's website.
That was like the best time to be involved on
exactly, because I had
projects.
like nothing to think of, so I was like, I can actually focus on learning something new, or like exploring something that I never paid attention to, or I can actually like you wake up in the morning and you have breakfast, and then there is nothing planned for the rest of the day, so you're like, oh wow, I can actually now start doing things that normally I don't have time to do. At the time, for me, I think like after 6 weeks, I don't remember, to be honest, if it was 6 or 8 weeks, but I remember the first time they asked me if I was ready to go back. I was like, oh, maybe I'll stay a little bit more, just seriously for a health concern. Because people around me who suffered from asthma, and like, you know, like it could actually be dangerous for them. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay a couple of weeks more. And then after the other 2 weeks, I was like, no, I'm ready to go back to work. So.
But now the reason why you're here today, because you're still working from home.
Yeah. So back in the days, actually, I didn't work from home. I was still in the operational side of the business that I work for, and then probably just about a year later, I had the chance to join the central support, and so now I work in customer service, but like from the remote side of it. And the beginning was quite difficult for me, to be honest, to adjust, because I had worked in hospitality for all my life, and I still do. But I until then I had always worked with the public and with a big team. And so I was always used to having colleagues on shift at the same time as me. And, you know, like you laugh around and, you know, you try to make your day go like one way or another. And you interact with lots of people in one day.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously you go out, you know, like, I don't know, I used to cycle to work. So that was really good for me. And then all of a sudden I joined this very small team. It was me and another girl and our manager who started at the same time as me. So basically it was like 3 people in the team. And obviously you and your manager are never going to do the same job. So it was pretty much me and the other girl doing the same tasks, even though she was a bit more senior than me. And so all of a sudden I found myself in a room looking at a screen and, you know, like somehow interacting with people, because it's all about, it's a conversation at the end of the day, but you don't see anyone. And when I joined, we had a very small office and a very small support team. So there was no obligation whatsoever to go to the office. And I mostly worked from home. And then after a little bit, I felt very disconnected, not only from everyone, but from the business itself. Because I almost like, you know, like you enter into this dimension of like yourself and the screen and whatever the customer is saying. And you almost start to, that becomes your reality. And then when you go out and you actually see it, you're like, hold on 1 second, like I'm so detached from what the day-to-day is, that this is actually doesn't help my role. And so I was lucky enough that the office at the time was pretty close to my house. So even though my team wouldn't go to the office, I used to go to the office a lot because I could see other teams, I could ask for their opinion, you know, I could say, oh, this thing, what do you think? But also even just for like the pure like relationship and interaction with people. So I've always gone to the office one way or another. And now, like since 2 years ago, we have expanded a lot in the meantime, and we have a much bigger office. And we actually go there. So at the moment, my role is hybrid. So I do 3 days from the office and 2 days from home, which is good in some respects. Like it's a lot more balanced. You see people, you see the reality of the business. You see what happens on site, let's say. But also, I still have the opportunity to work from home. When I want. So yeah.
Pretty sure like many times where you like interacting with other people, you were meeting people are like, oh, you're working from home, that's great. Do you think that is still great things after like 3-4 years after the COVID?
I think that a lot of businesses have adopted that as a standard method. And I think that for some reason, for some people it definitely works really well. I guess either if you're a bit like not too much of a socialite, or like if you do like to stay focused and be efficient, you know, just like fully focus on what you're doing. Or I see, for example, my colleagues have kids, so for them it's a lot easier to manage a kid while you're working from home. But I also see like again within my team, I see that myself and the other girl more often than not would think, oh, we actually enjoy being in the office because we are together, we can have a laugh. Like our role is pretty tough, or it can become pretty tough, because you deal 80% of the time, and I'm being generous, with negative feedback, and so it can drain you a lot. So being with your team, you just laugh about it, you move on, you know. So I think it depends on what your role is, probably what level you are in terms of seniorship and your personality.
I think that there was like a huge topic during the COVID, which was like the mental health. Apart something, despite something you already said about mental health or not, do you think the company were ready to cover that point, or there are still like lack of supporting when it comes to mental health from a company perspective?
Yeah, from my own experience, I think that we have quite good support with that. We have a helpline available to anyone if you do actually want to speak to a professional. But also within the team, like our HR department basically is able to support if you do need help. Which can be both ways, like it could be that you actually need more time working from home because you feel better that way, and so there is a lot of flexibility with that. Or it can be the other way around, if you actually do need to come to the office for whatever it is, or you want to be there 5 days a week, you're more than welcome to do that. So from my experience, we did think of that, and we are able to support that way. I would hope that with the pandemic, affecting so many people, and with working from home becoming more and more a reality, I would hope that many companies have done that or have that in place. I think from other people that I know, that's pretty much the case. But again, I would be speculating if I said that I'm sure.
Yeah. In terms of like have the chance to live in a big or small house, do you think that you need that specific corner, that specific room that you want to isolate yourself for your work hours and then coming out? You think that kind of environment of working from home is gonna like destroy the whole atmosphere that you create in your own house?
I personally, I'm quite lucky because I live in a 2-bedroom flat, so I don't have to work in my room. Like I can work in the living room, and then once I've switched off, and that doesn't affect my direct environment, if you see what I mean. But I hear that I've heard from a lot of colleagues that that's a problem for them. Like a lot of people that come to the office more often is because they want to disconnect and they want to keep work and personal life separated. So I'm pretty sure that if you have a small space, or maybe if you live with a partner, with a friend, like it's harder probably to manage working from home while there is someone else in the house, or if two people are working from home at the same time, I guess it can become a problem. I think if I had a smaller place, I would definitely try to go out and not be in that space the whole time. Because it can become quite heavy. It's almost like you leave you have your laptop there, and then you might think, oh, let me do this other thing, or let me just have a look, or let me check my emails on a weekend. I think it's very easy for some people to fall into that trap in a way. So yeah.
Do you have any idea or so many top tips in terms of what are still the benefits of working from home? Pretty sure this is something that has been said during lockdown and off and reels and social. But what do you think the real benefits so far after 5 years?
I think for me there is definitely a financial benefit, because we know traveling is expensive, and for me it's not that bad. But I guess if you live outside of London, it can be very heavy on your weekly spend. And as long as I worked in operation, I used to cycle everywhere.
Which is still a jungle, because I do cycle too, and rush hour in the morning is like a jungle out there.
Yeah,
anyway.
Literally, depending on what area you're going to. I guess if you're going to a very office heavy area, it's a bit like rush hour on the train, right? Except it's traffic. It's basically bicycle traffics now. I haven't cycled in the last 4 years, so I can't really tell you the reality of what it is now. But back in the days, it was really comfortable for me. But I wouldn't see myself cycling to the office. So that's definitely one. I'm not gonna lie, but the extra hour in bed, I would always do that.
But the money that you might spend for it, I don't know if I'm just saying something really silly. The money that you might save of traveling is not the one that you're gonna spend extra on your bills, because probably you got overall.
That's something I always think about. To be honest, I've never really calculated what the amount has been so far. I try to be very conscious with my laptop. I don't leave it plugged the whole day. Once it's charged, I take it off the plug, and then when I need it, charge it again. But definitely in winter time, the heating, the light on, all of that, which is also why I prefer to have a hybrid road rather than a fully remote role, because that definitely impacts you. Like, I don't think that 2 days a week has such an impact, especially like considering the rest of the days I'm not really home that much, you know, like I leave in the morning and I come back in the evening, and that's your normal use of what, you know, your utilities. So I think that the setup that I have, it's definitely convenient. But yeah, like if you're working from home every single day, then there is definitely, and also like I work for a food business, so when I'm at work I have free food.
Okay.
While obviously if you work from home every day, then that adds, you know, like cooking your meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner basically. And then there is definitely for me like an actual efficiency benefit, because I'm a lot more efficient when I work from home than when I'm in the office, because you tend to be distracted, you know, there is colleagues around, you're gonna have a chat with this person, a chat with that person, and then someone's gonna come and ask you a question, and which in some ways it makes it really much easier, much quicker than sending an email or like picking up the phone, you know, like you're there, you're just gonna ask, you move on. But at the same time, like I know for a fact that like the days that I'm in the office, I'm a lot less productive than when I'm home. So if that works for you, then it's definitely a benefit. But like for some people, it's the other way around. But to me, that's definitely an extra.
Yeah, more or less is what everyone's saying on social, like, you know, traveling cost and, you know, saving time for your bed, basically. Sleep a little bit more, waking up like 5 minutes before your shift.
You know, women, how we
So
are, we have
true.
to get ready, and we have to do makeup, and we
Oh yeah, the makeup things, yeah, of course.
I started doing my makeup on the train.
The connection with your colleagues is something that has changed during these last years, or something that you keep in close?
I think because we had such a small team from the very beginning, we were always very good at keeping in touch with one another, so that we wouldn't feel that separated when we were not in the same room. And then that culture has moved on as the team has grown. So for me, it's never a matter of like, oh, I log in, I turn on my laptop, I do my job, I switch it off, and that's it. It's always like staying in touch. So we normally check in with each other in the morning, or like, you know, after the weekend, you'd be like, oh, how was your weekend, even if you're not in person. But even throughout the day, if anyone has a concern or wants to share something, we have almost like a constantly ongoing conversation. So it's never that detached for me from the rest of the team. And even when like we are not always in the office at the same time. During the week, like we can choose pretty much when we want to be in the office. So there's gonna be days that maybe I'm by myself in the office, and so we, regardless of who is where, we try to always stay in touch by messages, and then once or twice a week we have like a Teams catch up. So if we are not in the same place, at least we speak, you know, and we see each other at least a couple of times a week. But most of the times I see almost everyone at least 2 or 3 days in the week. So
that's really
it
cool.
works.
And we'll have more questions for Imma, but you have to stay tuned for the second part. So speak later.
See you in a bit.
Bye.